What you're about to hear isn't just another geopolitical update, it's the story of a seismic shift in global power dynamics, where the United States is openly challenging Russian and Iranian interests. Oil markets are being weaponized, and internal revolts are undermining long-standing regimes. Let's start at sea. In early January 2026, U.S. forces seized a Russian-flagged oil tanker called the Marinera, formerly known as Bella One, after a weeks-long pursuit across the North Atlantic. The ship was part of a so-called shadow fleet, a network of tankers used by Russia, Iran, and Venezuela to move sanctioned oil while evading Western enforcement. Despite reflagging itself under Russia and attempting to fly a false identity far from its origins, U.S. forces boarded and took control of the vessel in one of the most striking maritime actions in recent memory, a move that Russia immediately condemned as illegal and tantamount to piracy. This wasn't just a legal enforcement action, it was a geopolitical message. Washington is willing to pursue and seize vessels linked to sanctioned oil trade anywhere in the world, undermining long-standing alliances and threatening the economic underpinnings of rival powers. This operation didn't happen in isolation. Across the Caribbean and Latin America, U.S. pressure has also fundamentally altered the situation in Venezuela. Once a cornerstone of the anti-Western alliance with Tehran and Moscow, Caracas has moved to expel Russian, Chinese, and Iranian advisors as part of a broader realignment under U.S. influence. Reports indicate Washington is leveraging Venezuela's oil assets to assert economic control, reshaping markets, and potentially flooding global crude supply. At the same time, Iran is facing unparalleled internal instability. Massive protests, fueled by economic collapse and rising inflation, have spread across nearly every province. These demonstrations have even sparked symbolic gestures, with some Iranians renaming streets for Donald Trump as a sign of defiance against the ruling regime. Washington has publicly warned that any violent crackdown on protesters could trigger U.S. intervention. This combination of external pressure and internal unrest is weakening Tehran's position. The already fragile alliance with Venezuela, once a key economic and military partner, is now in jeopardy, leaving Iran more isolated and vulnerable on the global stage. And while Iran navigates this homegrown uprising, the United States appears to be preparing for something bigger still. Reports suggest that the Trump administration is pushing for a massive increase in the defense budget, up to $1.5 trillion, to create what some officials call a dream army. Whether this force is intended for deterrence or projection, it signals that Washington is gearing up for sustained global confrontation. Shared concerns among lawmakers, including those who publicly urge stronger action against Iran, show that military options are being seriously considered in Washington. Taken together, these developments aren't simply isolated headlines. They're pieces of a much larger puzzle. When sanction enforcement escalates into open seizures, when strategic oil networks become battlefields, and when internal revolts coincide with external threats, the global balance of power itself is being rewritten. So the real question isn't just what comes next, it's whether the world is prepared for it.